What up, y'all? It's Panda with AOD, and with me today is a special guest. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself.
What's up, y'all? My name is Duece. That stands for Dream Under Every Circumstance Existing, and I'm glad to be here for real.
Yeah, so we got Deuce in the building. Of course, this is the second time, but low key the fourth. We're not gonna tell them. We're not gonna tell them why it's the fourth time. But I wanted to bring you back in because you've been doing like dope things, and as I told you many times, you gradually gotten better through each project you've released. That you were never bad, but you see the increase. Like how Rihanna, every album Rihanna ever put out, it just got better. Mm-hmm. So you look forward to that next album. That's what you're doing here in Columbus.
You know, it's crazy because in the pre-process of like putting the project together, I remember when I was sending it out to people, and I just sent it out to a couple of people, and you was like, hey, I think you're starting to find your sound in terms of what it is that you want to do. So that was the big thing about this project, was taking some of my past successes and seeing what made them a success. And like for my very first project I dropped in Columbus, it was the sound, still a classic. The lyrics were dope, but people was really vibing with the sound.
Yeah.
And then from my side, people was really vibing with the story I was telling. So I said, okay, if I take this 90s sound and I marry it with the storytelling from my side, I think that I'll have something that's a lot more personal and something I enjoy. So I really had a great time putting the project together, and I knew it was going to be my best work, and I was very particular in like who I had involved.
Yeah.
I just, from the beginning to the end, and a couple things that I looked up into, so it was like.
Yeah. So Son of the South was the way you started it out.
Yep.
That track is like fundamentally hip hop. Like you come in hard, the cadence is hip hop, like old school hip hop, not what you would consider hip hop today. If it's even really a true genre today, which would be maybe like the J Rocks and the Big Crits. That's how you approached it with that first track.
The thing I like about what my producer Just So Icy does, because he produced the whole project, I like it because it does have that fundamental hip hop sound, but he has his own spin on it, so it's not just strictly like a real boom bap.
Yeah, it had a little hop to it.
Yeah, it did, because like he got his like, you know, when as a rapper, your lexicon or the use of words is very important. As I feel like as an engineer, your use of being able to take beats and sounds and stuff like that. So a lot of what he did, even down to the engineering, like I remember him like sending me the beats, me listening to the beats, me recording them digitally, and it was like, yo, something about this isn't right. And I sent it back to him. He was like, the reason why it doesn't sound good to you is because I ran all these beats through analog. Like when I was, because he extracts all his beats and his samples from a record. So where people get stuff out of like a can, he gets all his stuff like off a record. The drums, the
I know
sound,
what that's about. I know somebody who does that.
I'm about to say, shout out to whoever does that.
Gem City Nate. But anyway, back to what you were saying. So he does everything from a record. So that's still that organic, like hip hop feel. So that's still paying homage to the original sound that never will go away. That's always going to be a big part of our culture. And I think that that's why you got it right with that, making that the first track in the album.
Yeah, definitely. I think just the whole way I was putting together the album, I think like on my last project, I was experimenting a lot. So like even just like the length of the project, like my last project was like 27 minutes. This project is like 17 minutes. And I just cut a lot of the fat. So just like a lot of those songs, like Son of the South, is just really just a stream of conscious in terms of like, I didn't want to put a hook on it. But I also didn't want to rap for like 5 minutes. You feel me? So I was like, I wanted, when the message was done, and like with a lot of projects, once the message was done and the message was out on the song, then that's when I stopped writing, as opposed to like forcing myself to put a hook on the back of other stuff. So I think Son of the South for me was really where I was at the time when I first started writing it, in terms of like just having this feeling of representing for something. But for me, it was really kind of like, I don't know, it was like a level of like animosity and anger, because I felt like we weren't respected. Like as the South Side, as artists from that place, I didn't feel like we were respected. So Son of the South, the way it even opens up, like you said, coming in hard, was because I was trying to make a statement that was very particular to us. So
and then as we talked before about just your growth in general as a person, as an artist, where you had this moment where you were thinking like people owed you something, or you felt like, you know, you weren't getting the attention you thought you deserved, which you might have very well deserved it. But then you got to a point where you realize like it is what it is, and like I am who I am, so I gotta be that regardless. Like I can't get caught up on what people aren't giving me.
Yeah, I think
as far as attention.
I think I'm like 70-80% there. There's a couple times I'm like, you should have clicked that more. Or why don't you? But for the most part, like you said, just the transition as an artist, as a person, like this project was the last project was very, very introspective because I was literally focused on the only thing I knew, which was myself. With this project, it was kind of like a level of maturity that I went along with. And like you said, as an artist, I just think the things that I'm able to handle now and what God has put in my hands, He's put a lot of amazing things in my hands and opportunities recently. But like you said, it comes with a level of maturity and having not feeling like you deserve stuff or if you miss something. I think, man, you talked about earlier, like when it's meant to be, it's meant to be. So there's a lot of opportunities I'm getting now that I thought I should have had a year ago, but they feel right. Like once I get in that moment, the magnitude of it isn't too big. I feel comfortable. And I'm like, okay, this is right. Yeah. This is appropriate for this time and place.
Yeah. And so, you just mentally got yourself to that point to be able to receive it that way. Maybe.
Well, people beat it into my head for sure. There was times
so
where
they
like,
mentally got you to that
point.
Yeah,
there was times where it's like, I've made it, I've arrived. And that's what I always thought was that there's this moment where you just kind of like put your arms up like, I've arrived, I've made it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's never really that in life. It's like these gradual, just like, you learn it a little bit more, and then you stumble and you mess up, and you learn it a little bit more, and you stumble, you mess up, and you learn it a little bit more. But I got a lot of really good people around me. Shout out to Blatant.
Shout out to Blatant.
Shout out to Blatant. That's my management team, and it consists of Bardo Jones.
Bardo created it, right?
Bardo created it, CEO and founder. And so him, Rachel Renee is also part of it, Tree Mandela, and Chief Third Baseman. So all those guys are my team, and just from a level of whether it's, Bardo printing up the shirts or how Rachel put together the website or just even the camaraderie that we have. This is a group just sitting down and they kind of check me when it's like, okay, Duece is known to go off the deep end. Sometimes it's like, all right, Duece, reel it back. You feel me? Especially Bardo. He's really like on top of that. Him and Rachel are very on top of like, how is Duece the person doing, not just Duece the artist. You feel me? So that's very big.
Yeah. And so with all of that, like who would you say are the people who you keep around you that influence you the most as far as your growth?
I think that some people that definitely have influenced me like in a very, very big way is always going to be my family. Because they knew me the whole process. And I think also my friends, I got friends, all my friends actually live out of town, but on a weekly basis, I try to talk to them in like a group chat. We have the boring group chat. It's like, God bless you too, brother. Let's have, but
that's
it's
good.
But
that's
no,
but
boring. It's what you need.
That's what you need.
Daily
that's
affirmation
you
and
put into people.
Yeah, and it's just nice to be able to step out and have that kind of refreshingness when you're in a world of like, you know how rap can get or how entertainment can get. So to be able to step out of that and it's kind of like, like to them, I'm still Tim.
Just be blessed.
Yeah, being blessed.
I care for you.
Yeah. So my homie Coop, my big bro Nehemiah, my homie John, and my little bro D-Man, and then just some homies from the neighborhood, my homie Terrence and my homie Jesse, who are actually on the project and helped very heavily inspire because it was kind of the conversation
who are speaking in the background.
Yeah, so for the majority of it, it's Jesse, and then T is like the very last person. Yeah. He ends out the project. But just even the conversations that we had to get my mindset into, they kind of like were really my introduction to the South Side because I grew up out there. But my mom always kept me in like sports, and she kept me in just like always into something. So when I moved back as an adult, it was kind of like, all right, they've lived here. We've all lived in the same neighborhood within like these streets. But then they just hanging out in the barbershop, which is always like a central point in any neighborhood.
Yeah, for sure.
Hanging out in the barbershop and then, so hanging out in the barbershop, heading up to the rec center and being involved in the community and stuff like that, like gave me a different outlook on where I live. Because when I left, I'm like, man, I can't wait to get out of here. But then coming back and being involved with people in the community and really taking pride in this, like, oh, wait, this is somewhere I want to be. This is somewhere that, I love and I find near and dear. So those are definitely some people that just outside of music who may not ever get like the album credits and stuff like that who kind of keep me in balance and keep me in check.
He said who may not ever get the album credits.
Yeah, for sure. Like my mama may never end up on an album, but if I get two out of line, she gonna get with me.
Yeah. So I want to speak about Ain't Forget About It. Do you keep yourself in the hood? Do you go back to the hood? Do you move in the hood? Or do you get to a point and then you leave, you can still get back to the hood without actually being there? I've seen you've done a lot of footwork in Columbus. You've done a lot of footwork as far as like doing events that aren't really necessarily trying to take people out of pocket, but you want people to have a good time and you're strategizing in different ways doing that stuff. So it sounds like from that track that you don't plan on never being in the hood. You plan on being in the hood.
Oh, yeah. I was like, you never plan on being in the hood. I was like,
whoa.
Hold up, viewers at home. I love the hood.
You don't plan on never being in the hood. So you don't plan on being that dude that people say is never there. You always want to be in the hood.
It's definitely a thing that I think about a lot consistently because Pretty much when it comes to where I'm from, it's not necessarily about never leaving it, but I felt, for me personally, I'm one of those people who was super detached growing up because, like, I was an athlete. So my thing was, like, I'm going to play ball. I'm going to move to one of the 32 cities that has an NFL team, and I'll come back once a year, twice a year. You feel me? But I'm going to be living out in Cali because I'm playing for the Chargers. And so with that mindset, I robbed myself of a lot of things that now, looking back, now it's like almost like how people have their childhood and they get sick of it. Like, oh, I've been here for 18 years, 20. It's like I'm really just realizing what's in front of me, and so I want to be heavily invested. So it's not that I'll never leave the South Side, like I'll never move from it, but I do always want to have a foundation and a root. Like I said, just thinking about probably wanting to buy my first home on the South Side and stuff like that. I always want to be a part of that community because now I really have a genuine love for it and a genuine respect for it, and I'm able to interact in it a little bit different than when I was younger. Because when I was younger, a lot of situations were controlled for me. Like, go here, do this, go here, do that. Now as an adult, I can walk up the street freely. I can decide how I want to spend my time, and that freedom has allowed me to get into certain things that have made me be like, okay, I really like being out here. I really enjoy my neighborhood. I enjoy the people out here. You feel me? So.
And last time you and I got together, we talked a lot about faith. Is your faith still heavily intact? Like, are you good?
Oh, yeah, nah. I think, honestly, my faith is really the thing I think that's took me over the top because, so 2017, it was all about Duece. I came back, I'm like, yo, I want to rap because I want to be important and be seen and stuff like that. 2018, I started to pick up themes about the community because somebody challenged me. They was like, you rap about the South Side. What are you doing in it? You feel me? So I'm like, what am I doing in it? So that's when we started doing a lot of the community service and stuff like that. Community service and thinking about the way I was carrying myself. But at the beginning of this year, actually what happened was I got in a car accident at my job. And so for about like a month, 2 months, I couldn't work. And it was just literally me by myself. And I think that's what God wanted because he wanted to have a chance to sit down and talk with me. And kind of show me like, hey, I've gifted you with this. Sit
down and talk with me.
Yeah, that's what it had to be because my life was moving. I always
envision a conversation with God as a sit down.
Yeah, because everything for me was moving so fast and everything was hitting, but it was empty. It was like I could kind of see where this is going, but it's always getting murky because I'm putting my faith in man or I'm putting my faith in the environment. So, and those things can change. They're just very fickle. So if I'm like, I love the South Side, but what if the South Side don't love you back? Or I want to hang out with these people, but they don't. You feel me? Like I was attaching myself to that, and it was like,
oh my God.
Well, I got in line with God's purpose for what he wanted, and he was like, okay, you building your foundation. At first it was on you. That wasn't strong enough. Then you built it on community. That was a good idea, but still not strong enough. It still wasn't. And then when I start building my foundation on God, he really start allowing me, for one, to help mature me. I can say right now, God, one of my recent relationships, are two things I think that helped me mature into the person I am today and the artist. And so you can see that in my artistry and see it. And I don't think that I would be prepared like I am now. Like there's so many things going on. Like I said, life is starting to pick up and move fast again. But because I took that time to kind of sit down and God was able to shape and mold me and be like, okay. And he sent me back out there better prepared. So
I definitely want people to go check out the interview at AOD Media Group. Search Army of Dreamers on any streaming platform. And also, I'm looking forward to keeping up with you as well, Duece, because you have been plugged into the platform for a long time. And also, like I said, I've been recognizing your journey, and you're doing a lot. You're very much so pushing yourself forward all the time.
I appreciate you. Like I said, as I'm leveling up, you're always leveling up. And that's what I like to have around me. Is like I like the fact that Blatant always is doing something new and cutting edge. You feel me? So I just like to see the people around me that are growing and that. Thing. You feel me? I'm planning for a lot of people to see this podcast eventually at some point through my page. If it's just going back 6 months from now, like, oh, we heard the project, it's fire, it's dope, Duece is everywhere. Where can we see some interviews? And this will be the things that they pull up and the pub that they get. Because like I said, but you guys do such a great job. Shout out to Nate. I'm super duper dope professional. I know you never get to see him, but the visual is just on point. So, shout out to Nate. You want me to hold the camera like it's me.
All right, y'all. Well, you already know what it is. It's Duece. It's Panda AOD on the mic. We out.